Hello everyone. Hi Sandeep. Hi Subodh. Hi Ravi.
Yeah, sure. Yes, Nick.
So we are live now.
All right. All right. So shall we start? Great, great. This is okay. Hello, everyone. While everyone is joining, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself on the chat? Okay, so I think we can start now. Great to meet Ritali. Great to meet Kiran. Wonderful. Feel free to introduce yourself over the chat. Great to meet you, Charu.
Hi all, is the chat enabled for all?
I think chat is enabled for all. It's just that you can't see it. Let me see. There's an option. Gargi, could you check? There's an option to enable chat for everyone. Who can start a collaboration when someone else has started? Who can start? Okay. So I can see some of the people are able to chat, right? Okay. Okay, here I found participant can, okay, meeting group chat. Okay, you guys can put it on group chat. Yeah, wonderful. All right, so shall we start? All right, we are already 5 minutes late. So first of all, welcome to this session on AI in healthcare. AI in healthcare is a project from CloudX Lab. Since we have been working in the healthcare domain for quite some time, and we have been studying the domain uh, with various top company in pharma and healthcare across the globe. So we have decided to launch AI in healthcare, whereby the primary focus is going to be providing the knowledge and working on the projects related to AI in healthcare. The healthcare as an application of AI is what would be the focus for AI in healthcare. You can go ahead. Yeah. So today's agenda is about us. We'll briefly talk about us, and in the meantime, I would request everyone to post about themselves in the chat. I will go through your profiles after the session, and yeah, and then we will talk about what is AI, how it works, and current AI systems across industry, and today's healthcare system and data. Then we'll talk about the clinical data, AI in healthcare, ethics, and then questions. Okay. So everyone, please keep your mic on mute unless and until you really want to speak up. Just raise your hand and you can go ahead. Okay. So, all right. A brief about us. I'm Sandeep Giri. I have been working with machine learning for quite some time, starting from my career at DE Shaw, worked with Amazon and Mobi, and then founded another company before this called T-Bits Global. Most of the power plants in India are built using my software. So we at CloudX Lab, we started as a education company, but today we have lots of lots of clients into mostly into the healthcare, or you can say pharma. So I'll be one of the speakers, and with me is Subh and Subodh. Yeah, Subh, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, hello everyone. So, I'm Subh Tripathi and I'm currently machine learning engineer at CloudX Lab. I have also collaborated with Sandeep on several projects, including several open source projects also. And we are now extending into the healthcare sector. We have already solved several problems in the healthcare sectors, several big problems, and we are looking forward in how many other ways we can contribute to this sector. So over to you, Subodh.
Okay, thanks, Shub. Thanks, Ali. So I'm Subodh Ramugade. I've been associated with Cloudx Lab for more than a year now, and I've been working with them on multiple projects related to healthcare. Before Cloudx Labs, I was working for almost 2 decades in big names such as Morgan Stanley and Amazon. And I've done almost every part of software engineering that's there. And I'm excited to share our knowledge, share our experience in creating custom solutions based on AI for healthcare domain.
Yeah. So all three of us have been working in the healthcare for multiple clients for more than a year and a half now. Okay. All right. At CloudX Lab, the core vision was to upskill engineers, IT professionals, or even any domain that people are coming from. And the primary focus always had been the deep tech. The deep tech is in the tech required for AI in general, like starting from big data, data engineering, machine learning, deep learning, DevOps, even there are a couple of hardware courses at CloudX Lab done by professors of IIT, and the core vision has been to upskill people into various domains. All right, this is my personal, very personal passion. I started CloudX Lab long back in 2016. Before that, I used to call it No Big Data, KNOW Big Data. That got renamed into CloudX Lab. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah, so with respect to AI, the vision is that we harness the power of AI to transform healthcare and making it more efficient, accurate, and patient-centric. And basically, what we are doing is we are studying the entire domain and adding value wherever we get the value, where we can. And today is the most the time is the most important time for healthcare as well as AI. Now, these two things are the, the AI might seem like, oh, this is for engineering and healthcare is like medical sciences, and two things become separate. But last couple of years have been groundbreaking, specifically with AlphaFold, and with specifically with lots of inventions in the biology, in the healthcare, it has become obvious that the two fields, AI and healthcare, have humongous overlap. Or you can say that AI is just a tool to save life and improve the humanity in general. All right. So from here, I would invite Shubh to give an overview of AI, and then Subodh will be talking about the case studies specific to the pharma. All right. So the core part of the talk today is understanding basics of AI, and then understanding various use cases of AI in healthcare, and then go through a couple of case studies that we have worked upon in past. And this would definitely be useful for all of you. All right. Thank you, everyone. And Shubh, please go ahead.
So thank you, Sandeep, for introducing everyone and giving your insights into the domain. So, all right. So let's start with a simple question. What exactly is artificial intelligence? We hear the term everywhere, but where did it come from? So, well, the term artificial intelligence was coined actually in 1956 by John McCarthy. He and a group of researchers got together for a workshop to explore an ambitious idea. The idea was, can machines be made to think like humans? So that was the question they were searching for. They didn't just stop at naming AI. They also set out some key objectives like what intelligent machines should be able to do. Things like solving problems, learning from experience, and even making decisions. That's because it all sounds familiar. Why? Because these ideas laid the foundations for the AI systems we use today. From virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa to AI helping doctors diagnose diseases. So while AI might seem like a recent breakthrough, it's actually been in the work for decades. So what makes the difference now? Why it's in so much trend now? Because now we have way more data, better computers, and smarter algorithms that make AI practical and useful in real world scenarios, including healthcare, which we will dive in today. So now that we know AI is about making machines intelligent, let's break it down. What exactly do we mean by intelligence? Like John McCarthy and his colleagues outlined several key capabilities that AI should have. So we'll talk about the sub objectives that help define what an intelligent system can do. So first, sub-objective for AI comes as represent knowledge. Also, like to inform you also, wherever you feel any doubt or you have any question, feel free to post your doubt in the chat section of Zoom or other YouTube, like from wherever you have joined. And we will like take up all the questions which you all put in chat, and we will be very happy to answer that. So again to the topic. So first sub-objective comes as representing knowledge. So AI needs to store and organize information in a way that makes sense, just like how we remember facts and experiences. Think of it as a machine's memory and understanding of the world. So that's why representing knowledge is the first priority task that any AI system should do. Then comes the perception. So AI should be able to see, hear, or sense its surrounding. Although it sounds little philosophical, but this is why we have AI-powered cameras, speech recognition, and even medical imaging system that helps doctor detect diseases. Why? Because like if it will understand the nature, when it will understand the surrounding, then only like AI can assist us. Third subjective sub-objectives comes as reasoning. So AI doesn't just collect information; it also makes sense of it. It should be able to analyze data and draw logical conclusions, kind of like solving a puzzle. So that AI should be able to do. Fourth sub-objective comes as navigate. So AI should be able to move through and interact with its environment. For example, self-driving cars, robotic arms in surgery, or even AI-powered drones all use this ability to navigate. Fifth, and the most trendiest topic also now, natural language processing. Perhaps one of the most exciting abilities. AI should be able to understand and communicate in human language, like how chatbots, virtual assistant, and translation tools work. So all of these together make AI what it is today. Some AI systems specialize in just one of these areas, while other combine multiple skills to perform complex tasks like diagnosing diseases, driving cars, or even generating human-like conversations. Now, now that we have covered what AI is, let's talk about how we actually achieve it. AI is not just one single technology; it's a combination of different tools and techniques working together. At its core, AI is about making machines think and act intelligently, just like humans or even animals. That means recognizing patterns, making decisions, learning from experiences, and sometimes even interacting with the physical world. Uh, but here's the key idea: AI itself is the end goal. It's what we are trying to achieve. We want machines to be truly intelligent, but to get there, we need certain building blocks. That's where machine learning and deep learning come in. For people who are not much in tech, they may feel these are tech jargons, but be with me, and I guess by end of this webinar, you will be familiar with all these terms. So the machine learning and deep learning are methods that help machines learn from data instead of just following fixed instructions. Before ML and DL came into domain, there was something called rule-based programming, and that was used to implement AI. So we set up a certain amount of rules, certain number of rules, and our system was obliged to work on that. But that was so rigid and it was not flexible. So machine learning and deep learning solve that problem. So machine learning is like teaching a computer by examples, and deep learning is a more advanced type of machine learning. Deep learning is like inspired by the way the human brain works, like using a structured kind called neural networks. So that replicates how our internal brain works. How our internal brain works, and that helps AI recognize patterns in images, speech, and text. But AI isn't just software. It also needs robots, IoT devices, and sensors play a huge role in AI. Self-driving car, robotic surgeries, and smart home assistants all rely on the combination of software and hardware. Now, if we refer to this diagram, so you'll see how all these elements fit together in the domain of AI. So here, AI, we can see that AI is the big picture. And within that, we have different tools, machine learning, deep learning, and even traditional rule-based programming. On the other side, we have hardware, things like sensors, IoT devices, and robots that help AI work beyond just computers. So AI isn't just one thing, it's a blend of multiple technologies working together to create intelligent systems. And in healthcare, we see this all the time from AI powered diagnostic to robotic surgeries. I guess robotic surgeries are now taking a lot of trend. Uh, and like people are like really using it. Like a person sitting in London now can assist surgery to a person living in Canada, to a patient in Canada. So that's what is made possible of an AI. So yeah. Now the now let's break the ice. Like for some of you may think that AI is magic, but no, it's just numbers. It's just some basic maths. So now that we know like AI is the goal, so let's understand how exactly AI model is trained. So for AI to learn, it needs a lot of data. Just like we learn from experiences, AI learn from examples. The more data it has, the better it becomes at making accurate predictions. Let's take the example of AI detecting diseases in X-rays. To train such an AI system, we start with a large data set of medical images where each X-ray is labeled by radiologist. So it require human intervention here. So someone have to label the X-ray images whether it is marked healthy or not. The second condition can be like it can be either healthy or not, or it can be also multiple subconditions such as like specific conditions represented such as pneumonia, fractures, or tumors. So the AI model then analyzes these images, identifies subtle differences between healthy and disease cases. Over time, it learns to recognize these patterns with increasing accuracy. This is why high quality data is the foundation of AI. Once AI is trained, it follows a process. Like when we make it in production, when we make it to predict things, or when we use it. So first of all, it receives data as an input. So it can be text or image. For example, if we consider the case of Chat GPT, we give text as an input to it, and then it does some work and generates some output. So on receiving the data, on receiving the input from us, it analyzes the patterns in the input using what it learned during training. So that's what it exactly learns in the training to like analyze the pattern. Then it analyzes the patterns on our input, and after analyzing the patterns, it makes a decision, like recognizing a disease or answering a question. And sometimes we also give it a feedback. So sometimes it gets corrected and improves over time. So every AI model goes through this cycle, learning from data, recognizing patterns, and improving over time. This is what makes AI so powerful in healthcare, where accurate decision making is critical. So it was like a brief overview of AI. So yeah, now let's talk about current AI systems across industry. So like we have talked about what is AI and how it learns. Now let's look at how AI is being used across different industries. AI isn't just for tech companies, it's transforming every sector from finance to healthcare to transportation. I guess the limit is the sky, and there where AI is headed to now. Uh, One of the biggest AI breakthroughs is in natural language processing and large language models. So NLP and LLMs, which we call them in short forms. So the technology behind chatbots such as like ChatGPT and Gemini, so that's called as natural language processing and large language models. Beyond just chatbots, AI is also powering intelligent agents that automate workflows in business. For example, AI can handle email, scheduling, meetings, and even process documents, saving hours of manual work. Uh, Beyond text, AI is now creating images, videos, and even music. Tools like DALI and Midjourney can generate realistic images from simple text description. And AI-powered video generation is becoming more advanced day by day. This has major applications in design, marketing, and even healthcare, where AI can generate synthetic medical images to help train doctors and AI models without risking patient privacy. And this is actually being implemented in some real world. We'll talk about that later. Now let's look at some real world AI applications that are revolutionizing different industries. First comes finance. So JP Morgan has built a system, AI powered contract analysis tool. So how can I explain you? Okay, yeah. So imagine a bank going through thousands of legal contracts manually. It would take forever to go through all the legal contracts. So this is the problem which JP Morgan is trying to solve here. They use AI to read, understand, and analyze contracts in seconds, saving time and reducing errors. So the work which was taking so much time before, it is now just done in seconds without any human intervention. So that's a very great achievement made by AI. Then comes Amazon's recommendation engine. I guess we are seeing it from a long time, and it's been a long time seeing that. So, but how, do have you guys ever noticed how Amazon always seem to know what you want? Like their AI-powered recommendation system analyzes past purchases, like your order history and browsing behavior, like what all you search in the Amazon and trends to suggest products, boosting sales and improving customer experiences. Third comes autonomous vehicles. So, like self-driving cars are one of the most fascinating AI applications. Tesla system uses AI to process sensor data, predict road conditions, and make driving decisions in real time. So making driving decisions is not a tough part here, but making them in real time is the real game. So it's not perfect yet, but it's a huge step towards fully autonomous transportation. And of course, AI is also playing a massive role in healthcare. So now, now let's shift our focus to AI in healthcare. One of the most exciting and impactful areas of AI today. So AI is already making a huge difference in healthcare, from diagnosing diseases to discovering new drugs. It's helping doctors make faster, more accurate decisions and allowing researchers to analyze massive amounts of medical data. For example, AI can scan medical images like X-rays and MRIs to detect diseases such as cancer at an early stage. Unlike general AI systems like chatbots or self-driving cars, AI in healthcare is designed for very specific tasks. Like it's not like some people really say that it's replacing doctor. So it's not replacing doctors, but rather assisting them by automatic repetitive work and also improving the accuracy on the manual work, which do not require the special expertise of doctors. For example, AI-powered tools can help doctors predict patient conditions in hospitals, assist radiologists in detecting anomalies. Anomalies are the errors, so like in X-rays or other radio-specific reports. You can understand it as an unusual pattern. So they can help in detecting unusual pattern. Unusual pattern mostly refer to diseases, so it can help in that. It can even personalize treatment plans for patients. So this is what it can do. And it can also help in analyzing the patient reports and sort them based on how critical they are. So like this also saves times and ensures the right patient gets the right care faster. So uh, by using this, doctors can prioritize their patient visit, and so the critically ill patients can receive diagnostic faster. AI adoption in this is very interesting. So AI adoption in healthcare is growing at an astonishing rate. That is 38% CAGR. CAGR stands for compound annual growth rate. So this means hospitals, pharma companies, and healthcare startups are rapidly adopting AI because they see real value in terms of efficiency, cost savings, and better patient outcomes. With this rapid growth, AI in healthcare is not a thing of the future. It's happening right now, and it's only going to expand further. Now that we have an overview, uh, yeah, now that we have an overview, let's explore the different ways AI is being used in healthcare. So, uh, yeah, one of the biggest impacts of AI in healthcare is in diagnostics. It's helping doctors detect diseases more faster and more accurate. AI-powered tools can analyze X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans to detect diseases like cancer, fractures, or lung infections. Some AI systems can even detect early signs of diseases that human doctors might miss. So this is proven in our research also. For example, Google's DeepMind developed an AI that can diagnose over 50 eye diseases from a simple retina scan, helping it helps doctors treat conditions before they get worse. Second point comes as personalized medicines. So every patient is different, and the AI helps doctor create treatment plans tailored to each individual's unique needs. AI analyzes a patient's medical history, genetic data, and lifestyle to predict how they might respond to a particular treatment. This is especially useful in cancer treatments where AI helps doctors decide the best chemotherapy or immunotherapy plan for each patient. This is also like a similar line we have worked on a project. I guess we'll discuss that case study later in this. So, like for you guys, for the general public, like imagine if you could get a medicine designed just for you. That's the power of AI in personalized healthcare. It sounds like magic, but I guess in sooner or even it's being implemented now. So we will get our personalized plan soon. Developing new drugs is a long and expensive process, often taking over 10 years. AI is helping speed up this process by analyzing billions of chemical compounds to find potentially new drugs faster. So these are just a few of the exciting ways AI is making a difference in healthcare. Next, Subodh will take you through how healthcare systems and data play a crucial role in making all of this possible. So over to you, Subodh.
Okay, thanks, Shub. So let me just start. All right, I'll just start my screen share, and then we should okay to go. All right. Okay. Great. Thanks, Shub. It was a great, information and in detail of how exactly AI works, what are the different components of AI, and then how it is being used in um, other industries as well as in healthcare. Now let's take some time to deep dive into the healthcare system, right? How exactly the healthcare system works, what are the different areas, what are the different components, and how exactly data flow through the healthcare system. Because as Shub said, right, data is the most crucial or the most important part of AI. And we are able to achieve so much in AI because of availability of large amount of data. Okay. So first, let's talk about the healthcare system, right? In today's healthcare system, uh, we will talk about what is the basic structure of healthcare system, especially in the developed countries, how exactly it works, what are the different components, what are the different players in this system. The first and the most important is the patients and the provider, right? Patient is someone who requires care or is seeking care, and providers are the one who are providing those care. Now, providers can be your general physician, it can be a clinic, it can be a hospital, it can be a lab, it can be physiotherapists, and so on, right? So there are multiple or different providers, and patient is somebody who is in need of their services. Second is intermediaries, right? In most of the developed countries, the payment or the transaction is not directly between a patient and a provider. There's normally an intermediary, which is an insurance or a third-party payer who is involved in doing this transaction. Say, for example, in Canada, right? You can go to your physician and you don't have to pay anything, right? Based on the number of patients treated, the physician gets paid from the government healthcare system. Similarly, if you have medical insurance in US, whatever expenses are, they are directly billed to the insurance company. So intermediaries play a very important role in the healthcare system. And the third is the government and regulatory bodies, right? Now, government plays multiple roles here. In some cases, government is also the payer for the service, say government provided services, and government also plays a role in setting up different institutions or different bodies which can help these providers cater to certain needs. It has regulatory bodies such as FDA, which helps uh, look at new drugs and approve new drugs and medical devices. So government plays multiple roles in the healthcare system. And then we will talk about, what are the common healthcare system models which are there. Now, one is public healthcare system, like the UK's National Healthcare Services, where the government takes care or owns the entire healthcare system, where you don't have to go and look for private providers. You are part of the national or government system, and then you go to your general physician, and then general physician can refer to you to different providers and so on. The other is completely private, where you are directly working with the providers for whatever service you need. In most of these cases, cost is a major factor, and hence, countries like US, insurance players are uh, plays an important role in private healthcare systems. There is a third type, which is hybrid. Say for in Canada, right? If you want to go to a general physician, it is taken care by government, which is public. But at the same time, if you want to go to a dentist or get something to be done for your teeth or even for your eyes, then that's a private players which comes into picture. So you can have both, and hence hybrid. Some of the systems are there in other countries as well. Now, once we know about the healthcare system, the other important part is the data. Uh, Clinical data plays an important role because that helps you to understand trends, that helps you to make more study and generate intelligent systems which can help patients as well as providers. So let's now dive into what exactly this clinical data is, where we get it from, and what are the issues handling this clinical data. So first, let's dive into what are the types of clinical data. Now, first is structured data. Structured data is something which is organized in a structured way in tables and rows, where you have rows and columns. So the examples are lab test results or billing codes from insurance providers, other data which is captured from devices such as your blood pressure or your test result, test results, and so on. The next is unstructured data. This includes notes, summaries, description of your surgery, description of your symptoms, images, X-rays, MRIs, CT scans, and sensor data like ECGs and or your personal glucose monitor. Right? This data can be unstructured. It cannot, you can't, put it in a specific structure or specific pattern. So, for example, image, right? To read about image, you have to convert into a way that machine can learn. So, hence the unstructured name. Now, let's understand the source of these data, right? There are multiple sources, but there are four major areas from where we can get this data. Uh, First is electronic medical records or electronic health records. That's called in some places. This is the digital version of patient records. Uh, Whenever you go to general physician, um, they normally take your history, the symptoms, what you're feeling, what medicines you're going through. All that is put it in their system. It also captures any test which you have done. It also captures any prescription which is given to you, and so on. Every clinic or every provider may have their own way of having this information, but this is a digital form of all your personal medical records. Second is claims data. As I said earlier, providers work with insurance or payers to bill or get monetary or money for their services. Now, these insurance company have lot of billing data which they have, and this data is available for any research purpose. So you can actually go give your details and you can get those data. They have lot of billing codes. They have lot of details about patient and what kind of billing codes were associated with that patient, what is the cost. They have details about insurance claims. They have details about different medical procedures like surgeries, radiation, or any implants. All those things are there, and it's available by insurance providers. The third type of data, the third source is patient generated. Now, this is something like symptoms or something which the patient or the person who is in need of this service gives or generates that data. So, for example, your Apple Watch or your personal glucose monitor, right? It provides data, or it collects data. Now, this data can also be used for learning patterns. So, for example, Apple Watch uses your heart rate to monitor, and then it gives alert if there is um, any abnormality in your heart rate. So this is also one of the source for generating data. And the last major area is research data, like, for example, cancer research or research done by government agencies such as FDA and CDC. All these data is also used for your learning purpose, AI learning purpose. You also have clinical data, uh, clinical trial data, which is normally done by pharmaceutical companies for testing their drugs. And it is one of the major source of finding out what kind of drug works for what kind of diseases. Now, uh, as we have gone through different source of data, let's also dive into challenges when we handle this data. As we have seen, there is different source of data and different types of data, structure and unstructured. Hence, we have unique challenges handling these clinical data. First is missing data. Now, missing data can be for multiple reasons, right? Say, for example, if you go to your service provider or a clinic, and they take your history, and then based on your symptoms, they may not consider certain data as critical and may not note it, right? Second is uh, you or a patient may miss an appointment, may not provide certain data. There might be issues in capturing certain data, and so on. So there are multiple reasons why that data might be missing. So missing data is one of the key challenge in clinical data. Another is difference in the way data is captured. Uh, at least in, say, in Canada or in US, where clinics normally capture your medical history and stores it. Each clinic or multiple clinics can have different way of capturing and storing this information. They may have different codes for each prescription or each diseases. They can have different details for each disease, what all they capture, and hence, you can have different data, or you can have differences in the way the data is captured, stored, and provided. Then one of the most important challenge or the most critical issue in clinical data is data privacy and security. As this is confidential data, there are different rules and different guidelines which has to be followed, like HIPAA and GDPR, where you have to make sure that the privacy or the confidentiality of the patient is not impacted. And then there is always data bias and inconsistency, right? Say, for example, while capturing certain codes or certain details for insurance or billing, there might be errors in code, there might be different errors. even the standard codes, there might be different versions of the standard code, and they may change. So there might be a lot of inconsistency in data. There can be bias based on what group of people or what cohort is used to capture this data. So there can be biases because of that. There can be duplicate records. There can be older records which is no longer relevant. So that can also cause issues in when you're analyzing and looking at data. So these are the four major challenges while handling clinical data. Now, let's jump into biases in clinical data. As I said earlier, right, biases is one of the major challenge in clinical data. Let's understand what exactly biases mean and how it impacts. Okay, biases is where you have data which has certain constraints or has certain limitations, which can have direct impact on uh, what intelligence or what solutions or what we derive from that particular data. Say, for example, you have data for only a certain age group for a particular symptom. Um, that can be bias, saying that those symptoms can only occur for that particular age group. Whereas that might not be a case. It's only that we have data for that particular age group, right? So similarly, there are different kind of biases. Let me go over, some major biases. Versus selection bias, where I said that, we only look at certain population or certain criterias while capturing that data. That brings in bias or selection bias. So, for example, certain populations may be overrepresented during clinical trial, right? For example, clinical trial is only done for a younger patient, or you may have, heart rate or diabetes test done only for a certain age group. That brings in bias for selection of the cohort which we are using. The number of patient or the type of patient or the type of population which is selected, that can bring in that selection bias. Other is self-selection, where patient may or may not report or may or not seek certain type of care. Say, for example, we may have younger generation not seeking, say, PT or kind of different kind of therapies, right? So that may or may not give a certain result, saying that that age group do not need certain kind of treatment. So that also brings, so self-selection also brings in selection bias. Now, second is measurement bias. Um, Inconsistency in the collection method can introduce errors. Simple example, the weighing machine at your house and the weighing machine at the clinic might have difference. So you may gain couple of, some pounds at home if it is not properly caliber. Similarly, devices like blood pressure monitor or other devices where they are not properly calibrated can give incorrect measures. Sometimes you may have data in different units, like pounds and kgs and so on, which can also bring in the measurement bias. Now, temporal bias is the medical practice changes, right? The way you treat certain diseases or the way you uh, identify certain disease or the way you go about testing certain diseases changes over time. So if you're looking at data which is for a longer duration, say 20 years, then the way diseases were looked at 20 years from from today will be different than how it is now. So temporal bias normally comes into picture where you're looking at data over many years or a very long period. Other example is diabetes diagnostic criteria, right? How exactly diabetes was looked at has changed over the years. What all factors or what all symptoms were looked at to identify diabetes have changed, and therefore the data related to diabetes has also changed. All right. Now, the other is outcome misclassification, especially when we are looking at, say, insurance data or data where the providers put in incorrect code or they put in code which is, so if you are having multiple symptoms, then normally providers may go with the first symptom which they have seen, or they may, for billing purposes, they may put in certain codes which are easier to bill or already has approval and so on. So a lot of this data which is put in or added by the providers can also come under misclassification and can sort of screw the analysis based on that data. All right. So this is how the clinical data is generated, captured. These are the issues which are there for clinical data, and because of these issues, what kind of biases comes in, right? Now let's take a look at the recent AI systems. Shubh mentioned different use cases. Now let's take a deep dive into some of the examples of what all systems are there right now or are being worked on, which are really making a difference in healthcare. Um, One of the example is DeepMind. Now, DeepMind is a subsidiary of Google, and they have developed AI system to analyze issues in eyes based on retinal scan, right? And it helps detecting early signs of eye diseases, like glaucoma and others, where based on the image of your retina, it can identify certain diseases. Similarly, the same system, right? It uses deep learning algorithm to identify patterns in retina images and may indicate the presence of an eye disease, especially if you have issues like glaucoma or other, where in-depth analysis of your retina is required to identify the critical issue which may impact in long run. It has also shown that based on the study, that the AI system is able to have more accurate result, or as accurate as human experts for detecting these eye diseases based on the retina scan. The other system, which is well known, is called Project Inner Eye. Now, Project Inner Eye is by Microsoft, where the AI tool helps look at medical images and helps analyze and understand the disease and help the treatment planning. The project was aimed for looking at large number of images and provide accurate and speed and consistency in medical image analysis. Say, for example, tumor or spine problems or other issues which takes longer for manually looking at, and help clinicians or help doctors make more informed decisions for patients. The AI algorithm uses Project InnerEye are based on deep learning, which looks at large set of these such images and then identify patterns based on proper labeling to identify whether a disease is present or not. Other systems are like, for example, AlphaFold, which Sandeep mentioned, is used for predicting protein structures with accuracy. This is one of the projects which, or the team behind it actually won an award for Nobel Prize for the same. The other is Latent Lab, where AI helps protein design. It uses AI to design protein from scratch, which can be used for in areas such as vaccines and drugs. One more recently, paper was released where team is developing LLM specifically for cancer domain, which can help identify and analyze cancer cancer diagnosis or cancer related data, and help treatment plan as well as identifying early stages of cancer. So these were the different use cases which are currently at least available or in development. Now let's dive into certain case studies with which the CloudX Lab team has worked on in recent days. These are the case studies which we have worked for almost like 1.5 years, last 1.5 years, and they have been developed and delivered in production. Shubh, you want to start off with oncology?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Subodh, for these insights. I got they are enough to increase anyone's interest in healthcare. So before moving further, there are some very good questions in the chat which I'll like to answer. So I'll take them one by one. So Piyush have asked that he wants to develop a lung cancer detection project. So how he can do that? So Piyush, like it's a very good initiative to do that, and it's a very good project, even if you see from the learning perspective. So first of all, like how I will approach this problem is that what how can we actually how people identify whether it's lung cancer or not. So there are certain tests, either these are reports. So suppose if we assume that CT scan and X-ray images can help us in detecting lung cancer. So first, we will collect all those images of a CT scan or X-rays, all the medical imaging which we can get. There are public data sets which already contain that, so you don't need to develop on its own. But if needed, you can also like get some images from you. But there are huge public data sets focused on the healthcare sector. So I'll pick up the like I or you. So we can pick up the data set from there, and then we can use. Then we'll need to post process the images to make sense out of them, to standardize them. There are lots of post processing steps like converting them into grayscale. So post processing also depends on the type of images we get. So we'll need to analyze the data and decide the post processing steps accordingly. After that, we will train a machine learning or deep learning model. So I get deep learning neural networks will perform much better in this case, specifically CNN. It's a image related task. So we will implement a CNN. So here we have two choices. Like we can also use a pre-trained model on these cases. So like there are pre-trained public models which are trained on the lung cancer images. So you can pick it up and fine tune on your own data. So this is one approach. It generally will give better accuracy if you have limited data and hardware resources. Second approach will be to implement everything from scratch. So there you will have to build your own CNN model. And after that, once the CNN model is trained successfully, we can use it for inference. How it will exactly work? Whenever you will pass it a CT scan image, it will tell you whether it's a lung cancer or not. So this is the answer. The follow-up question by Piyush is like how I can automate the entire workflow. So, okay. So we can also automate the entire workflow. How? Like instead of just saying that it's a lung cancer, it's whether yes or no, making it a boolean, whether true or false. We can like output can be a whole report. We can generate the whole report from that. How we can do that? I guess there are already LLMs. We can either use a general LLM or we can use a medical domain specific LLM, and we can pass it the output of the model, the lung cancer detection model which we have trained, and it can take the input from there, and it can generate a huge complete report which our radiologist or doctor generates. So it will automate the entire workflow where only thing which we'll need to provide is the image of CT scan. So this is just a like basic overview of how we will do things. When you will start implementing it, the things will go pretty fast and pretty hard. But yeah, I guess we'll figure it out. You will figure it out. So yeah. Uh, so yeah, one question from Abhishek is like for psychological therapy sessions. Therapist doctor have one-on-one interaction with each patient, and there is always a strict doctor-patient confidentiality as per ethical practice. Now, in this type of treatment, how AI can be useful? Okay, so that's a very interesting use case. How we will do that here is most if we see if we come to the reality, mental health is still a taboo. Like most people don't like to talk about it. Most people don't take it seriously. So many there are very few people who actually go to psychologists. But if we can provide a system that can assess their mental health in their phone or laptop, they can I guess there will be a huge spark in the numbers of patients which are actually taking psychological sessions. Also, some people, even if they recall or recognize their disease, still they feel a little introvert or whatever. They are not comfortable to share their details with anyone, even if he is a doctor. So that problem can also be solved. Also, there are currently many chatbots who are working very well in the psychological therapy session. Yeah, so I have used one for assessing. So it's good, and they generate generally better results. So you can go use one, and I guess then you will have a better idea. Yeah.
Um, and for the question around ethics, right? We have a small slide at end which talks about ethics and how exactly it should be there, and it governs most of the research or most of the work which is done in AI for healthcare.
Yeah.
We'll cover that in the coming slides.
Yeah. Also, recently in our site on AI4healthtech.com, I'll paste that site in the chat window. So there we have published a blog specifically focused on the mental health and how like AI can help in solving this problem. So you can go through the blog. I pasted the link to our site in the Zoom chat. I'll also do that in YouTube chat. Just a minute. Yeah, so I've shared it in both places. Now, second question of Abhishek is, let me, where it went? Just a second. Yeah, so it's about diabetes. So, the question is over a year, I have noticed my father-in-law is prescribed different doses of same insulin on the basis of his fasting or PP blood sugar results. At the value varies, the dosage too. Can this be predicted and governed by AI? Yes, this is the whole purpose. Like this is the whole purpose of AI, and to make you to tell you, this is already being done. Like personalized dosage and personalized recommendations, personalized medicines are already being implemented in healthcare and hospitals. So doctors are applying these techniques rapidly. So yeah, I guess if you search for it on it, you can find a tool which, but I don't think there is an open source tool for that purpose. But yeah, it's currently being implemented in the industry. So yeah, I guess yeah, there is a one more question. So the question from Charu is it's very difficult to get data from other than public data. So from where to get? Uh, so here comes the problem, like how to get the data. So like for now we have learned that data is everything. So yeah, I don't like there are public data, and I guess there is a lot of public data for each of the things. Like there is a, uh, I guess there is I forgot the site name. So that data that it's a database of focused only on the medical data. You can find
Sir,
text
other
data.
than, sorry to interrupt, other than Kaggle and GitHub, UCI repository is also there, but it is having very old data set. I'm working with that, but it's very old data set. There's a problem with data set. So that's why I'm asking from where to get the data, because my students are also facing the same problem that they are not able to get the data. And for working that old data, it's just like the question asked by some of the candidate over here, that already the lung cancer disease detection predictions already had been done. Lots of embedded systems and lots of hybrid algorithms already implemented. So there is nothing, we have to plan something new. So that's why I'm asking about the data. Sorry to interrupt.
That's totally correct. And I guess this is also our limitation, and we should work on making more and more data open source. Like big companies generally don't make their data open source because that's confidential data. Because like every data, every image you see, it's from a real person. So many people don't agree on their information to be shared, and most of the hospital also don't do that. So that's the primary reason we have so less. Uh, Data. But the approach which we can take here is that we already have pre-trained models on most of the domains. So we can utilize them here. Like the benefit which we get on utilizing the pre-trained models is that even if we have less data from our for our purpose, then also it works fine. I guess in our next case study, we also faced the similar problem that we didn't have data. So I guess when I'll cover the next cover the case study, you'll get the answer. Otherwise, like we can connect in the end in the question answer round. Okay. So yeah, I guess I'll start with the case study. Just a second. Yeah. So now that we have like explored AI's role in healthcare, so we will go quickly through our case study. So this is what the CloudSlip team has accomplished recently in cancer research. So what was the problem? So problem is related to cancer research. So like cancer research relies on key variables from patient records. However, these records are generally unstructured and scattered across millions of documents. Previously or even currently, human annotators extracted these key variables manually. To ensure accuracy, multiple annotators reviewed each document. So this process was slow, expensive, and inefficient at scale. The documents varied significantly in structure. Some were like purely text based, some were tabular, some comprised both text and tables, and also lots of variation, like some were single column and double column, every type of data which we had. So this made it extremely difficult to extract information consistently. So the approach which we developed was to extract the key variables. So first of all, the end goal is that the process needs to be efficient with cost, and also it should be highly accurate. It should be at least better than human annotators. Then only like it can be implemented in real world. Because this is healthcare data and we cannot afford a wrong information here. because a wrong information can lead to uh, the results which I guess I cannot even imagine, because this is the data on cancer research. So the solution which we developed was, first of all, the documents were converted to text using OCR. So like there are tools which are called as OCR, which is optical character recognition. So like since most documents were handwritten notes or scanned PDFs, the first step was to convert them into machine readable text. So we use OCR for that. OCR does that. It will take any image and will give you text from there. But like, however, raw OCR output is often messy. Text can be misaligned, contain errors, or it can lose structure. To address this, we applied post-processing technique to clean the text, improve formatting, and extract meaningful content before moving to the next step. So now, till now, we have text. Now, the task is to extract relevant information from this text. So in the era of LLMs, I guess it's pretty easy to do that. So we utilized LLM by doing a lot of trial and error, R&D, by trying different prompting strategies. We came up with one. So once we had the text, the next challenge is, so the challenge was extracting key variables. So there we implemented different prompting strategies, and the most effective was inspired by chain of thought reasoning. So we developed our own approach. So it was totally inspired by chain of thought reasoning. So what we did there was, like, we structured the prompt to mimic how a human annotator would extract information. So we broke a whole process into step by step, as minute step as we can, and we asked the LLM to follow the all the steps sequentially, and each step also has a condition, like how should we move further or not. So it was like previous agent behavior, but I guess we could have implemented agentic behavior also, but it would have been too costly and time taking, which was not necessary for this problem. So we also need to trade off between the time and cost which it takes. So as we know that LLMs charge based on the output tokens it generates. So there's the interesting part about that. Like, we asked the LLM to reason every decision at each step, but internally. So the reasoning was done internally, and the reasoning tokens were not included in the output. So that saved us a lot of cost while maintaining accuracy. Although it's like chain of thought, if the reasoning is included in the output, it will always outperform. But the approach which we developed, it was similar to the chain of thought reasoning, while saving us a lot of cost. Another advantage of this approach was that, as we listed everything in step-by-step manner, so when new requirements came for the system, it was easy to integrate as we added them directly as a sub-step. So at this stage, the system was working well, but a major problem still remained. For now, it seems very easy, like calling some APIs, doing some prompting, but I guess ML and DL are a lot more than that. So the problem was that processing millions of documents using LLMs was expensive and time consuming. So to optimize this, we introduced an intermediate step, a document classifier. So a document classifier that could determine whether a document contains relevant information before sending it to the LLM. So before, we were sending all the documents to the LLM. Now we will send only relevant document to the LLM. So if a document was relevant, it was passed to the LLM for extraction. If it was not relevant, that it was filtered out there and then. So it saved us both cost and time. Now, how do we train this document classifier? So to build a reliable classifier, we needed a high quality label data set, but we didn't have it. So to answer the question, what we did in our case, so however, like, we had a vast number of documents, but we didn't have a labeling whether this document is relevant or not. So what we did there, we leveraged the LLM itself to generate training data. We designed a prompt that instructed the LLM to classify whether a document contains relevant information or not. And we used this data to create our training and testing set. So in your case, like you were asking about image data, so there are so many algorithms which are being implemented now, such as image synthesis or image generation. So I guess we can implement those. We can train our own image generation models or not. There are also pre-trained image synthesis model which generate images. So I guess that will be a huge next breakthrough in medical domain. That we will be able to generate fake human data. Although it's done for pharma and drug development, I'm not sure if it's also done for lung cancer detection or other critical diseases. So I guess it will be pretty soon that we will have these models which then you can utilize to generate any amount of data that you want. But now also, like, I guess we have some medical, like, not specifically fine tuned on any lung cancer detection or any other cancer detection or any other use case, but still we have LLMs fine tuned on medical data. The image synthesis and generation model, which are fine tuned on medical data, so we can utilize them, and then we can utilize our data, the public data which we have, and we can train our own image generation model. Because living with the problem is like not a thing for engineers. So we'll have to figure out a solution eventually. So for our case, we utilize LLM itself to generate a generator data set. Now we have a data set, so we needed a strong model for document classifier. So although still the LLM generated data was again less. So here we utilized a pre-trained model. So we tested multiple open source medical AI models. And the one which we finalized was PubMed. So it is a BERT-based model which is fine-tuned on the medical corpus. So there it takes text as an input and it will give you the embeddings. Embeddings, like for the non-tech audience, how you can understand. So, like, suppose when we read a document, we frame our understanding of the document in our mind. So, embedding are the same the understanding of that document in the mind of the machine. So, it's just numbers. Like how you can represent, like machines don't understand text, they just understand numbers. So, we capture the context and meaning of the text and we represent it in embeddings. So we use PubMed to generate embeddings, and top of that, we use it as a base model. We use PubMed as a base model, and we then trained a custom classifier using TensorFlow on top of it. One interesting thing was that we kept the recall of the classifier above 99% to make sure we do not miss out on any important information. So maximizing recall means we are like if I explain you in layman term, so we are telling the model that it's okay if you are confused about an image that whether it should be classified or not, so classify it. Only tell it that it's not relevant when you're completely sure, or that it's a that it's a not it's not related. So this is what we mean by maximizing the recall. So this made the possible that no relevant information is missed out in the process, and we only save cost and time. So here we have a final workflow with us. So we have a OCR, which converts a document into text. Then we have a document classifier that classifies whether the relevant information is present in the document or not. If relevant document information is present, then we pass that to LLM. Now you will be surprised with the result. The AI system outperformed human annotators. Like even when human annotations were done in multiple rounds by multiple annotators, still our AI system outperformed them in both speed and accuracy. So this breakthrough is like now being used to accelerate cancer research, making vast amounts of unstructured patient data accessible in a structured format. So this is one of the case study. So this is just the beginning. Like AI is set to transform healthcare even further. To give you another perspective, I'd like to pass it over to Shubodh, who will walk you through another exciting case study on AI in healthcare.
Okay, thanks, Shub. It was really exciting to and challenging to work on the earlier case where we had to look at different ways of extracting data and training our models. It was fun working on that. The other use case which I'll just share wasn't that complex problem as the earlier one, but was something where we are able to come up with a unique solution, right? So the problem statement here was about content standardization. There's a lot of data which was there, and the requirement was to map it to standard definition and code, something like SNOMED. Now, those of you don't know what SNOMED is, it is a standard library of certain terms and the code associated with it. As I said earlier, when we were talking about healthcare system, a lot of these providers use codes rather than the text, so that they have standard values added to the system. So SNOMED is one of the standardized code and text. It talks about um, whether what are different symptoms, what are different diseases, what are different procedures, and so on, and have specific code associated with them. So the problem was there's a lot of data, phrases, which had to be looked at, identify, understand, and then map it to correct code and definition, right? So what we did is here we use embedding. Um, um, Now what embedding is actually converting the text to vector, or to simply put it, to numbers which the machine can understand. There are different ways of, there are different embedding models which are used. So what we did is we evaluated certain embedding models which are specifically trained for medical terms. And then based on the evaluation, we used one of the models, which then was used to embed all the standard values and all the incoming data. Uh, the embedding models were evaluated based on uh, uh, triplets, where we had a certain question, we had an answer, and we had uh, another term which was very similar to the answer, but not same. We made sure that we have certain data set which can help evaluate which embedding model was giving us more accurate result, so that we can use it for looking at the incoming string and mapping it to the standard value. We shortlisted BioBird, ClinicalBird, and PubMedBird to identify embeddings and identify the incoming values. Based on our analysis, PubMedBird was the one which gave more accurate results, and that is the one which we use for this. Now, once we had embedding model identified, we, as I said, we embedded the entire standard values which we had, and then created a vector database or a vector index, which can be used for lookup. This The vector DB is specifically used for your embedded lookup, where you can look up for a string based on this embedding and find the most nearest string for that. We used Databricks vector DB for the same, and there are different ways to find out the closeness of two strings, right? One is cosine similarity, and the other is Euclidean distance between those two strings. So we also evaluated for the given embedding which one gives us more accurate result, and we use cosine similarity for this particular use case. So we had a very large data set. The standardized values were somewhere around 1.5 million records, and the incoming string was more than a couple of million records, where those string we had to map. So again, a smaller problem, but we use embedding and vector DB to map given string or given values to standard, so that it can be further used for analysis. Uh, so those were the two major use cases or projects which we worked in last year. We worked on multiple, but these were the two which had different flavors, and hence we wanted to highlight. Now, as we said earlier, ethics play a very, very crucial role in developing AI solutions for healthcare for multiple reasons, right? First of all, the most and the crucial is confidentiality and public data, right? We have to make sure that we take care of the um, different rules and different guidelines which are provided to maintain patient confidentiality, right? So let's give some time to understand what are the different issues or what are the different areas we have to look at while working in AI in healthcare. The first is what are the different consideration and challenges, right? First is there are different regulations like HIPAA and GDPR, which has to be kept in mind while treating or using uh, private health data. We have to make sure we use or strip the data with any personally identifiable information, like, for example, names and other identifiers. There's a lot of places, for example, in one of the projects which we worked on, we made sure that when we are extracting data, we do not share or we do not look at these identifiable information. Um, there's also a lot of challenges where, as one of the use case or one of the issues which was put in the chat was that unavailability of data. It's not that the data is not available, but there are certain guidelines which has to be followed, or there are certain process which has to be followed to get that data. Say, for example, the insurance companies or insurance data is available in market to be used for analysis, but then you have to create or you have to have a proper use case to get access to that particular data. Uh, Again, other challenges is that you have to make sure that the data does not, give, does not have biases, right? Say, for example, if you have images of, say, skin patches or, skin, which helps you to identify skin cancer, you have to make sure that, you have data with which is more inclusive. So, for example, if you have data with only fair skin patients, then you may have bias in your AI or understanding that skin cancer or those kind of symptoms can be only seen in fair skin patient, or your model will not be able to detect similar cases for, say, darker skin images, right? So you have to be very mindful of these issues. Data privacy is, again, the most important part in handling data or clinical data in healthcare. You have to make sure that uh, privately identify or personally identifiable information is not part of data which is open to public. Uh, there are a lot of rules and a lot of regulations for the same. Also, the AI which we train, right? It is based on the data which is provided. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we have more holistic or inclusive data, so that the learning which comes out of this data does not have any biases. We have to make sure that the demographic or other how do I put it? Other diversity are taken care in the data, so that the inference or analysis which is done, or the learning which is done, do not have those biases. Say, for example, for clinical trial, if clinical trial is done for only in certain parts of the world, then it may have, or the learning may be based on you know those conditions or those body types, right? And then it may not give you the right image or right learning for different kind of body types, right? Say, for example, people in northern countries, right? Their body or their reactions or their what do you say? Um, their treatment or their response to certain treatment might be different as compared to people staying in different climatic conditions or different areas or different regions in the world, right? So all these things, or inclusivity, is pretty important when you are looking at data and when you're looking at the subset or set of data for your learning, for your model's learning. So that's it on ethics. Again, it goes without saying that we have to be mindful of why and how we are using the models which we build, especially the models which are built for healthcare. So with that, we'll jump into final questions. Let me
Okay.
open up.
Okay, so,
Are there any questions which
yeah.
we
Yes,
can take up? Sure.
So I guess Abhishek has one question. So like there are many cases where cancer is detected in stage 1 or 2, and patient can be cured completely. Whether the cancer for that patient will relapse again or not, and it will be redented in stage 3, 4 or not. How AI can help if doctors predict the same? Okay, so that's a very good question, and that's a very good use case of how we can assist the doctor in this specific case. So, okay, so now what type of data will we need in this case? So, like, we'll again have suppose we have lung cancer. We'll take that case, and we will take images of cured lung cancer, like who the patient who have surpassed first or second stage, and then they have cured. And on those cases, like I guess one picture or one image will not be sufficient in this case. We will need a series of images, like multiple images of that same patient over time, like one on this month, one after another month, and same on. And then we'll also have to label the data whether this patient, when we pass it, support 12 images of over a specific period of time, like in the gap of support 2 months, CT images. Now, now if we tell it that okay, this patient again got the lung cancer, it relapsed again. So this will be one use case. We'll do similar pattern for another use case, and there we will say that okay, this person did not get any lung cancer. So we'll prepare our data set on the similar line. We'll prepare for lots and lots of imaging, as much data as we can get, and then we will train our neural network on top of that. The most difficult part in these cases is data collection. Like as we have already discussed in this webinar, the public data is not sufficient. But I guess in the advancement of image synthesis model and image generation model, there are also models that can predict the patterns which can arise after some time. So we can cater them to like anyway, like we now if we consider research in cancer field, we already have like text information on how we can say that a patient will develop the cancer again or not. So we can infuse that information into image synthesis model. I fear that I'm going too techy or too tech deep dive here, but
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I
I mean, one more point to add, especially for the cancer question. Here, for clinical data, one thing which is there is a timeline. Now, in many cases, the timeline is very important, and how the data is represented in a timeline is crucial for learning. As Shubh said, right? We will say, for example, if we have the first stage of cancer and then the cancer is cured, we will have to have or collect data throughout the life of that patient to figure out when exactly the first exposure was, what kind of treatment it went through, uh, what was the reaction or what was the response to that particular treatment, and then how did the lungs or how did the organs look after a certain period of time. We need to have cases where the relapse happened, and we need to have cases where the relapse did not happen. We may need to have cases which the exposure started at, say, late stage of the life, say, for example, 50 plus. We may have to have cases where the exposure started at early stage of the life, and so on. So data plays a very, very crucial role in identifying all these cases. So, whether it will convert into third or fourth stage or not, whether it will relapse, whether it will be cured and all those questions can be predicted to a very good extent based on the data and the way it is represented and the way it is looked at.
agree. I guess that answers the question, Subha. We have another question from Glenn. So, what are the some beginner-friendly vector databases to use in projects? So, I guess you can utilize any of the open source vector databases such as Chroma and Milverse. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Subodh, will you like to add any?
Yeah, a Chroma DB is easy to use. It's pretty simple. I mean, that was one of the and it's available, right? So you can easily do a pip install and get that working. So that was one of the DBs which we used to do some analysis. But then based on the environment where we were working at, we went with Databricks. But Chroma DB is something you can definitely start off with.
Okay, nice. One question from Anita is, okay, before we go to the next question, I have shared the attendance form in the YouTube chat and Zoom chat. So you guys can fill out to get recordings and the certificate of participation and along with the presentation. So yeah. One question from Ankita is, what all can be used in building thyroid disease detection model? Ankita, like I guess the pipeline will remain same as we have used for other cases such as for cancer detection or lung cancer or any other cancer. The only thing that will change here is data. So like for suppose for lung cancer we needed CT scans and other thing. For thyroid disease detection model, I guess we'll need some pathology reports or blood reports. I guess those will play more essential role in thyroid detection. Like I'm not sure about how thyroid is actually detected, but I guess the pathology reports will play a major role in there. So the pipeline will again remain the same. We'll have the data, we'll post process it, and then build the model on top of that. I get deep learning will again be better here. Like machine learning works well for simple problems, but deep learning is like both have their specific use case. Like if we don't have a lot of data, I guess machine learning is what we go for. But if we have like a good amount of data, I guess deep learning always most of the time outperforms machine learning. So yeah, that answers the question.
For thyroid disease detection, I think there is a data set available on Kaggle, which has some detail. Yeah, I mean, Krigl has many data sets which can be used for your initial or smaller projects.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I get that, answered that question too. One question from Nimiti. These are very good questions, to be honest. So one question from Niviti is, sir, can you give me some idea or some new thing to do innovative in prediction of brain stroke using CT scan image dataset? And another question is, can we use GAN for generating images, and which GAN type is best for predicting brain stroke? Okay, so again, like if you have a CT scan image data, I guess the pipeline remains same for every machine learning pipeline. The only the steps which we take differ. Like what can differ? Here we will have a different data set, CT scan image data set. So the post processing step will be different here. We will not use the same post processing step as we use for lung cancer. We use post processing step that are specifically tailored to this. CT scan data, because like each data is different, and so that each data should be processed differently. And again, we will train a model, but again the training approaches will again differ, like which model to go for, which model to choose. The Even if we go for ANN or CNN, what should be the architecture, what should be the layer, hyperparameters, lots and lots of deep learning stuff. All that can be decided based on only on the case, only based on the data. There is no other way to decide it. So other cases, which GAN to use, I guess GANs are little outdated now. Stable diffusion is being used much more now. So yeah, so you can use any of the stable diffusion image synthesis model to generate the relevant data set. So yeah. Okay, so uh, do you have does anyone have any or more doubt, or we can wrap it up? So make sure you guys have filled the attendance form so we can connect. So I guess there are no more questions now. So we'll be wrapping. It was very nice. It was very nice connecting with you all. And if you want to connect with us on a healthcare ideas or any discussion related to healthcare, you can reach out to our website, which is aiforhealthtech.com. The link I will share again in the Zoom chat. And so there we have provided a contact us form which you can submit, and will be very happy in assisting you and connecting with you and discover what more we can do in this healthcare sector. So yeah, over to you, Subodh.
Yeah, I mean, thanks all for joining us. We hope that we were able to give you an overview and some details about areas, where AI can be helped, especially in the healthcare section. And if there are any questions or you need to talk about or you need some guidance, feel free to connect with us on the link which Shub's mentioned. And thanks all for joining.
Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.
Bye.